to have you here this afternoon. Thank you for making the time. I was looking through your profile and you have such an impressive background. When I look at your journey, it's so impressive and it's such a good template for young women and young professionals to follow. And I'll start by saying congratulations on making the CTO of the year. That is such an accomplishment. So can you maybe start by telling us how did you feel when you got to learn about the award?
Thank you so much, Jimmy. I'm honored and happy to be here, at least to share part of my journey. I reflect and I'm like, oh, is that even me? So, yes, to the award, it felt very good. It's good to be recognized. I was being recognized across the entire group. It's a great honor. It was a privilege. And that couldn't have happened without the team working towards a common goal and achieving, delivering results, transforming the business, and ultimately giving value to our customer as a whole. I told my team to say, when you work like this, they should be proud of themselves, that they did it, because I believe it's for all of us, but it was a gratifying feeling.
It's so great to hear that and hear you reference the team because today we're talking about leadership and right off the bat, you said it's about the people, it's the team, it's their award, it's for all of us. So that just speaks a lot about how you think about leadership. So let's just dive into it, right? I want to ask you a question. You got this award. Everyone sees that, oh my goodness, she is amazing. She got this phenomenal award. But they see all of the shiny aspects. But can you tell us a little bit about the unseen aspects of leadership? Those challenges, those late nights where you're making tough decisions, where you have to roll up your sleeves, help the team, walk through issues with limited information. When you're in the grind, in the day to day, how does that all come together in spite of the recognition? How do you ensure that you're staying focused and grounded to make sure that the team remain calm in the midst of all the challenges that you may have to deal with?
Thank you. That's a great question, Jimmy. I mean, you've said it all. You see the outward version, but beyond that, there are many other things. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But really, when I reflect about my journey, it's not about the titles, it's about responsibility. It starts little by little. Yes, it has to do a lot with technology, but technology is powering economies, connecting lives, and therefore, it's not only about the technology, but about leadership, about people. So it comes with pressure. Being in technology during outages, there is pressure. There are decisions to be made, high stakes decisions. There are fixes to be done. The new innovation being invented, and moments when even integrity is tested. But through it all, yes, steadying the people, building trust, delivering on various innovation, and handling pressure. It comes with practice. It comes with staying grounded. It's about stewardship and understanding that the responsibility that one carries is also very key. It's also watching how we all respond to pressure. It's not about panic, because the reality is that, yes, we see the glitz and the glamour, but beyond that, so many other things are happening. And it comes with huge responsibility. But first, it comes from a place of understanding the responsibility that one carries and then taking steps to actually work towards fixing that. So, yes, beyond what you see, so many things happen behind the scene. There's late nights, efforts that needs to be done, but there is need to constantly wade through this and see how to balance them out. It's almost like a dance. There are sometimes it's very tough. There are other times you are able to have a breather, but it's to understand that for all of those seasons, you keep looking for opportunities, looking for ways to balance or to find ways to let off some of those stress. Like today, I went for my sports, right? I play tennis. That's also another way to distress. But the reality is there's no perfect world. There's no perfect role. Most roles have their own peculiarities.
Thank you for sharing that because I think a couple of things I picked from what you said is one, you're taking care of yourself because as a leader, when you are grounded, you're able to be more effective, you're able to think clearly, you're able to work better under pressure, and you also take responsibilities. Like you said, the days when things will go wrong, you have outages. You cannot panic, just like you said. How do you remain calm? It's all of those things that get you through the tough seasons, the tough times, and you support your team through that. So, how did you get on this path to leadership? Was it something you always aspired to? Did you have role models that influenced you in your journey? What framework has helped to guide and inform how you choose to show up as a leader?
I didn't grow up aspiring like this. I didn't see all of this, I must say. But I think along the lane, I was drawn to impact. In my career, it's been working with systems, technology, connecting people, opening up opportunities. And along the line, you continue to see how things work. There are projects that I've worked on that we would have to solve problems, right? So in solving one problem, you solve the next one, you work into another one, you solve the next one, and then you gradually see yourself taking more responsibilities. And then I say that, oh wow, I have delivered on this, and I move to the next. I think I remember one particular one when one of the managers I was working with earlier on in my career, she specifically said, oh, she'll delegate to me because she was going on vacation for like 3 months. And I'm like, oh wow, me? I didn't see it. So that moment struck a chord to say, wow, there is something that must have been seen. And I think she also spoke to it. And I took cognizance of that. I became more aware at that time. That was something that meant some level of leadership, and then leaning onto it, one task after the other, kept delivering, kept moving. And gradually, I see time evolve and then perspective change, new thinking. And on the way, they've been mentors, they've been role models. Because, technology, you hardly find women. We went to university, we were like 55 students, and out of that, less than 10 were women. It's always been like that, very few women in the room. But I think, particularly in the early days, I had a woman that was like senior technology leader. So that was someone that I was always looking up to. So growing in that career just to show that it is possibility. So this visibility also makes it know that yes, you can achieve, you can aspire, and then you continue working on it.
You mentioned the role model. You could see someone that looks like you, and it helps you to aspire to that level. And looking at you now, you're that person for so many other people. Isn't that exciting? That's really
It
amazing.
is.
So, would you say that your approach to how you engage with your work changed from when you were a very hands-on technical individual contributor to when you now started to lead people, lead an organization? Now you're the CIO, CTO, right? Did that transformation happen, or did you have to pivot your approach through that journey? And what
Yeah.
did that look like?
So earlier on, I was an engineer, checking all the cablings, doing what needs to be done, configuration and the likes. But as you move up the ladder, it's more also about the people. It's not about you. So I can say that at the early stage, yes, excellence for myself in delivering everything that I was working on. But as I moved up, I realized that I need people to work with me. So actually, you cannot do everything alone as a leader. You need to work through people. So working with people, it means you have to get people to see the vision, to understand the strategy, understand where we're going, so that it's easy and they can flow with the execution. Because if they don't understand the why are we going in this direction, then it's very difficult for them to buy into it. It's very difficult for them to see. They just see it as a task. But it's important to connect the delivery to the purpose. Why are we doing this? So I saw that need along the line and started shifting in that and getting people to understand the vision, where we're going and why we need to go in that direction, and how they play a critical role and what role they play. So when they understand the role, it's easier. There will still have to be continuous engagement, but then I had to shift from being an individual contributor to working as a leader, working through people, getting people to see the results. And what I have also realized on that journey, when people see the results, when they see the outcome, they are more empowered, they're energized, they're excited, and it's easier to get them to do more.
That's really great. I think one thing that resonates with me is what you said, start with the why. I know Simon Sinek says that in his book, start with the why, because when you know the why, the purpose and the ability for the teams to just engage and just give it everything and push through in spite of obstacles just becomes easier. A few years ago, you wrote an amazing book, Limitless. Is such a great read and a quick read with lots of nuggets. So I'd like you to take us a little bit into some of the content you highlighted in the book, which I'm sure was just a reflection of your own experience and journey as a very skilled technical practitioner and also a leader in the technology space. There are a couple of things that I highlighted from the book. Through your journey, you've been able to unlock the leadership potential in your teams. You've been able to transform lives positively. You've executed impossible turnarounds through your career, and also you've been able to build highly motivated and successful teams. I know you've highlighted a few things over the past few minutes, but is there any framework that you follow, any steps that you follow as a leader today that ensures that when you get into an organization, you're able to see the potential in the people, build them up, create an environment where, in the midst of, you mentioned, impossible turnarounds, you're still able to be successful? Can you maybe share some of the key nuggets that you highlighted in your book?
Thank you for that great question. Yes, I wrote my book in 2020. I think that was the difficult year. It was COVID. I felt a desire to pass on knowledge and experience. A lot of people also wanted to learn from me. So I needed to mentor people and also help people. And that is why I wrote it Limitless, highlighting 11 strategies to master life and career. It's a book for discovery, for leadership, and also just highlighting strategies to guide professionals, young professionals on their journey so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel. So some of the nuggets that I can highlight from the book, I know that I use this everywhere I go to, is number one, it starts from the mind. The mind is very important. We win from the mind. Decide to say, I am going to win. So I'm going into this new environment. It has to be a win. How I'm going to do it, we'll start working towards it. First, you need to understand that you want to succeed. So the mind is like a garden to use to cultivate what I want to achieve or whatever I want to do. The mind is the fundamental thing that it starts with. The second step is about giving value. Anything I work on, I want it to be excellent. I want to deliver value, good value. I am not working on anything without looking for the value that I'm going to bring into it. If we're working with a team, then you must see a difference at the end of it also. That also helps people to build trust as you go on the journey, because effectively, once you deliver value, you continue to deliver on that value and it becomes incremental. You need to shift perspective to being positive, to see the positivity and expect positive things to happen, and then start working towards it and driving that. I gave different examples of how I'd also leveraged on that in my career. When I didn't have a choice, I rose up to the responsibility. Yes, it was tough, but delivering it and seeing the impact. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, wow, why was I afraid? What was the fear about? So yes, that's why it's important to make sure that the mind is where everything starts, and we need to get that, work towards it, who we mix with, and all of that. The other bit is around value, right? What value do you provide? Being excellent in what we do. So that when you provide value, there's nothing that comes through you that doesn't get well done. Focusing on being excellent in delivery and doing that, you gradually build your credibility, because then people can trust you. People can know that, yes, this person will deliver quality work, and that leads to more responsibility, more things to do. I think a fundamental part that I have mentioned is starting with the mind. Also realizing that when you give value, you become a brand. People trust you. And then you are known for something. What do you want to be known for? Is it someone that is a competent person, or you want to be known for someone who is lazy and give shoddy work at every point in time. There's also the bit around being intentional in what we want to do, how we want to ship out in life. That determines how things work. And positivity, being positive, it's very key. Along the line, also spoke around seeking for knowledge. Knowledge is very important because you need to grow, you need to expose yourself to new thinking, you need to read wide, you need to go for trainings. So it's about how do you also use that knowledge economy to drive and grow yourself as a leader across. But there are 11 of them there with clear examples readily available for anyone to read.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And honestly, you outlined a lot of amazing nuggets in the book that I would recommend folks to take time to read. You mentioned earlier about the mind. I think half the battle is won in the mind. Once you win that battle, in spite of contrary opinion or perception around you, if you're able to win the battle in your mind, you most likely will be successful because that in itself is a key factor for success. So thank you for sharing. You also talked a little bit about cultivating relationships. So I'd like to just maybe get a sense from you, from your experience, and I'm sure as a woman as well, a lot of folks that will be watching this would probably want to learn from your experience as you've navigated your career. How do you cultivate relationships, maybe in environments where there are biases and environments that really, right off the bat, may not give you that benefit of doubt automatically? And maybe in challenging professional relationships, how do you intentionally cultivate those relationships? And at what point in time would you pull the plugs when you know that this isn't working? Can you speak a little bit about that?
We have to deal with people, so relationship is inevitable, and it's important to cultivate it, to be very intentional about it. I know that we have different people, different individuals, different personalities, different motives that will come in at play as we go on the journey, but it's important to first decide in your mind what kind of relationships are you going to be having with people? Where will you draw the line? What is acceptable to you? What is not acceptable to you? And then take steps to cultivate relationships. The reality is, we feel that we meet at the moment now, and maybe you leave a workplace or you leave a place at the moment and you feel you would never meet that person again. Not always the truth. You would get to another place somewhere else, totally different, and either you meet someone you have worked with previously there, or the person comes there and meets you, either both of you reporting to each other, something like that. So that's why it's also important to make sure that we guard those relationships well. And in building relationships, first is about the value. There must be an exchange of value for relationships to thrive. Either you work together in a team, your subordinates report it to somebody. There must be exchange of value because we all have to achieve a set objective. There may be contexts where things are a bit difficult, but I think it's important as an individual to do an assessment, like a reflection, reflect on the situation to say, what exactly is this about? What am I picking from this situation that is happening? And check yourself first. Am I wrong? Am I assuming all the nuances are on me? Or am I the problem? Or is the problem? So it's good to one, self reflect on the situation and seek support. Before you even seek support, if it's someone you can approach the person and have a discussion. If you feel that there are things that are disturbing you for one reason or the other from having making that relationship work well, because you need an effective relationship for you to be able to deliver value if you have to work together. So it's important to have a crucial conversation. If it's someone approachable, this is what I have seen, this is what you have done, this is how it had made me feel. And I feel that you could do this way. So you could have a discussion and then both decide and chart a way forward. That's for a same situation where you expect that the person would respond normally. So if it doesn't flow that way, I think you can also seek support, right? External support. Look for qualified people that can help you to either it could be a third party view that could also see things totally differently and bring new perspective. into it and how to deal with it. As much as possible, I try not to burn bridges because I have seen it happen and I have seen the impact along the line in different ways. So, as much as possible, try not to burn bridges, try to work on it. Yes, there are some that cannot be worked on, then we find creative ways to be able to part way amicably as much as possible.
That's a spot on and very insightful because at the end of the day, when you have people, you always have challenges or conflict, but being able to be self-aware enough to know how to engage in such scenarios. And while you're reflective, you're also seeking help and also making an effort to ensure that you're addressing the issues best as you can. So thank you for sharing. So just pivoting a little, still on that topic of, I'd say, relationship, because as a leader, you and especially in your space, you're deploying technology, you're dealing with outages. It is a tough space to be in. But how do you lead through conflict, pressure, and resistance?
For me, especially in my role, it's highly pressured. We deal with mission critical platforms, solutions as a core of the business, and therefore it comes with very high responsibility. So pressure is inevitable. But I think, yes, being exposed to it, especially at the lower levels, you've built some mechanisms to be able to deal with that effectively. But the most important thing is to stay calm. The goal is the goal. The objective is the objective. Yes, there are difficult moments. Yes, things would happen, but it's important to stay calm through it all. And as a leader, people are looking up to you. People want to draw some support from you. We've had instances where there's been an issue, an outage, but the goal is to restore service quickly as possible. So being confused does not solve anything in any way. And reflex is just, what do we need to do? We have this. How long has it gone for? What's the time to repair? What do we need to do? Is take the steps and start working through the steps to resolve it. But yeah, dealing with that comes with a lot of, I think, experience and exposure has also helped along the line. But as a leader, it's important to stay calm in the course of it, because you're also providing hope to people that things are possible. We're charting the way together and get people to also see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. That is very critical. When people see that, then they combine to it, they bring in ideas, and then we can work together through solving the problem to make it work. But yeah, but not to panic. Panic
Yeah.
is not allowed.
In light of your role and the space you walk in, I know that performance metrics, KPIs are just probably you breathe and leave that every single day, every single second. But apart from the performance metrics, what other measures do you use to determine your success as a leader?
One key one is about reflection, reflecting to say, as a leader, are we building platforms that will last time, that are sustainable, that are meeting the needs of customers, that are providing value, developing leaders that would live continuously. Those are the things that comes through. Am I creating value? I think I spoke to value earlier on. Is it just an activity we're dealing here, but we're providing value to the business? That I think those three things. One, from a platform, technology is evolving, we're transforming, but we building platforms that are sustainable. That is very key. And then for the people, empowered leaders, leaders that will continue to run beyond you. Because if you have empowered people around, then the success is guaranteed. Everyone is empowered, putting in their best, bringing the best forward. That is fundamental. And in terms of value, how are we as a team going to continuously deliver value? Value to the business, value to ourselves, value to the customers, just to make sure that nothing passes through us without turning into value on the long run.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
What do you hope your leadership legacy would be? And how do you want people to feel after working with you?
My legacy will be that I have built more leaders. I get excited when I see my team moving to bigger roles. It's something that I find joyful, seeing them move forward, and I'm quite excited rooting for them all the way, staying in touch, cheering them on, even beyond leaving my team. Even recently, there was one that just also left my team, and I'm checking on how are you settling in there. You must continue to make your mark in that space. It's a CIA also where he is. So, but yes, legacy is seeing that people outlive and people continue to evolve, building more leaders, and that also technology that we're using, it's not just for technology's sake, but it's creating access to people, value. When we deliver product, as an example, the joy is seeing the users, the customers using it, and then you forget the stress, you
Yeah.
forget all the pressures because you see the value. People are excited, they're able to connect to families, they're able to browse, they're able to do whatever they need to do that technology provides. How do I want people to feel after working with me? I want them to feel brave. I want them to feel more capable, yeah, capable that believe in themselves, more confident, and certain that excellence can coexist with humanity. They can achieve great things once they set their mind to it. That's how I want people to feel when they leave.
Thank you so much, Titi. And I'm sure that your team feels really blessed to have an amazing leader like you leading them, guiding them, and lifting them up as you're also rising in your journey. So, what advice would you have for the next generation of leaders?
My advice is to choose value at every point in time. Choose value, give value, be excellent in what you do, and also don't wait for permission. Raise your hand. Take on responsibilities. Don't wait to be asked. If there are problems that needs to be solved, be a leader. A leader is not only the person at the top. It's not about the titles, but you can be a leader. Self-lead yourself. So it's not about also being exceptional alone. You're doing it in a team across with people. And definitely, if everyone works together, they can deliver success together. Part of my advice to the next generation is to understand the place of God in everything that we do. He guides us, He directs us. So we continuously need to look for His direction. Yes, we have responsibilities by ourselves that we need to do, and that's some of the things we've discussed as steps that I should take as an individual. But the God factor is very important. So we need to be able to rely on Him. There are times that you just totally surrender unto God to lead and just guide in terms of direction, directionally, and the actions that needs to happen. So we cannot miss that out on the journey. It's very
Yes,
important.
I agree with you, and thank you for sharing that because I believe that God, your faith, really gives you that grounding in difficult times and in times where you don't have a sense of how to solve a problem. You just get that inspiration that just gives you a solution that will work. So the God factor definitely plays a major role in success in anything that we do. Thank you for sharing that important point. I'm sure that folks that listen to this episode will definitely take that advice on because I strongly believe that leaders are not born, leaders are made. Titi, it was such a pleasure having you here today. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for sharing your wealth of wisdom, knowledge, experience, and your journey, like I said earlier, is a really inspiring one. And I know that you'll go to greater heights and give the younger generation, especially women in the STEM space, someone to look up to, a role model to aspire to be like. So thank you for everything that you do, and thanks for making the time.
Thank you, Jimmy. It's an honor to be here. I'm quite excited that you're doing this, and I'm really happy about the work you're doing. I think it's very good. People are looking for opportunities like this. A lot of people want to learn from others, but they're not able to reach. So access is difficult. But what you've done now is democratizing it, easily access to people learning. So that is wonderful. And I know you're doing a lot more. So well done to you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you.